Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Denver Broncos, if we have to. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been a bit disappointing on offense from what we've expected from them, and the Broncos have been decent on defense. We typically see the Broncos perform a bit better at home, so I feel like this over-under being at 43 is about right. Maybe even that's a bit too high. Buccaneers are road favorites here, favored by 6, implied point total of 24.5 versus 18.5. Buccaneers defense has been really good as well. With the exception of the running back position, they've been, above average at every spot. Broncos pretty much average with the exception of giving up a lot of points to the receiver, but they've also played some really good pass offenses with Corey Davis going off against them in week 1. And we saw Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson go off last week. I guess Juju had an okay game, but with Bouye, I believe he's still out this week. Could be a rough outing again for the Broncos secondary. In terms of who we're starting this week, the Buccaneers side is pretty easy for me. Fournette looked absolutely dominant last week once he actually started to see the touches. I think Ronald Jones is dust at this point. They haven't officially announced the starter, but do not be surprised if Fournette gets the go here with Ronald Jones fumbling the ball away and Lesean McCoy dropping an easy touchdown, whereas Leonard Fournette getting the job done for him. I think Leonard Fournette is the guy from here on out until he proves otherwise. Evans and Godwin. Godwin's back from that concussion. Evans looks like he's recovered from his hamstring. You're firing both of them up, and I think the Buccaneers defense is a really good play this week. Playing against Jeff Driskel should be good for a few sacks, a few picks, or a forced fumble here or there, and hopefully they get a defensive score here. So I think the Bucs are probably top 3 defense on the week. If you got them this week, or if they're still sitting on your waiver wire, you should definitely grab them. As we mentioned, Ronald Jones is someone that we're probably avoiding at this point, unless he shows up this week and proves that, the coach, Bruce Arians, is able to just forgive and forget with that fumble. I just don't see a world where they go back to Ronald Jones this week, but we'll see. Tom Brady has been very disappointing from a fantasy angle. I'm not firing him up this week. I think he'll be okay, but there's plenty of other better options out there. Not starting Lesean McCoy. He may even just be a healthy scratch. Like, Tom Brady was pissed the way that he just dropped that ball in the end zone, so I'm not playing him. Scott Miller was a complete bust last week, which we kind of called that, but I'm not playing him with Godwin back in. And then the tight end situation here, Gronk is barely being used. OJ Howard had a crappy game last week, so if you had to start one, I guess you go Howard hoping for a touchdown, but I'm just trying to avoid the tight ends here until we actually see something from them. Probably not even worth rostering either of these guys at this point. On the Broncos side, Melvin Gordon is going to remain a good play. I think part of the reason why the Bucs have one of the more points allowed to the running back, similar situation as we had with a couple other teams. They played Christian McCaffrey and they've played Alvin Kamara, so you can expect them to have given up a lot of points. Now, with Melvin Gordon being involved a bit more in the passing game, he was still able to salvage a pretty good day last week, and I expect him to have something similar here. There's just no one else on this offense after they've lost Cortland Sutton and Phillip Lindsay. Melvin Gordon is going to have to get a lot of work regardless of what the game script is here. And then Noah Fant, I think you can still start. He's pretty much a every week start for me, even with Jeff Driskel, because his ability to just create plays is very similar to Jonnu Smith. Like, you just got to get him one play in space and he can create and give you your entire fantasy value in one single play. Jerry Jeudy, after taking over, basically is now the wide receiver 1. I'm nervous about him being able to perform consistently with Jeff Driskel, so I'm probably going to try to avoid him. And the Broncos defense could be a decent play. We've seen Brady make a few mistakes up to this point. Ronald Jones had that fumble last week, but probably not going to be jamming them into my lineup unless you absolutely have to. I'm not playing Driskel, I'm not playing Royce Freeman, and we'll keep an eye on KJ Hamler, but I'm not trying to jam him into my lineup just yet. I think the Bucs are going to win this one pretty easily. Got them winning 28-14.